Some men run from danger. Others have danger thrust upon them. And some, like Howard Hill, take up their bow and arrow and go in search of it. Whether he draws his bow against a swordfish in the waters of the Pacific, or the wild boar in its forest hideout, a constant menace to animal and man alike. And whether he braves the threat of this ugly, vicious brood or the cougar, waiting with its deadly fangs bared, ready to leap on its prey below, always his arrow hits its mark. For whatever the danger is, Howard is ready. And now, here on the shores of the calm waters off Key Largo, Howard Hill is ready to meet another dangerous adventure. Ready to meet, this time, the deadly and ancient man-killers that lurk in the waters of the reefs and canals of the Florida Everglades. Howard's sole equipment is a bow and arrow, a camera, and a young friend. A Seminole Indian boy named Mike Osceola, great-great-grandson of the famous Chief Osceola. Howard and Mike board the launch that's to take them on their hunt for the man-killers of the Florida waters. They're headed first for the islands off Key Largo. Who would guess to look across this peaceful sea that in those gently lapping waves lurks danger and sudden death? These islands are uninhabited except for birds. One of the greatest rookeries in the world is maintained here by the Audubon Society. Hundreds of thousands of birds live here, for it's the last stronghold of the rare American white curlew and the blue heron. This would be a paradise for any archer, except that here a $250 fine is the only reward for good marksmanship. On that high limb sits Papa Heron, acting as lookout. He guards the nest while Mama Heron goes shopping for food for Junior. And Junior, we must admit, looks like he could use a little. Now their launch leaves the comparative security of the islands and moves out into the open sea where Howard sights his first killer, the giant barracuda, the most feared fish in the Florida waters. It's Mike's first kill, though, and he demonstrates an ancient Seminole technique, the spear throw. This throw paralyzes the fish instantly, and Mike's able to bring him in without risk. If you're looking for man-killers in these parts, you don't have much time to rest. There's another just off port side, the famous leatherback soup turtle. And Mike's going to take him on, too, just to show off another example of Seminole technique. Watch out, Mike. He's no more friendly than the barracuda, and almost as dangerous. But Mike knows all about turtles. The Seminoles have long made their living capturing these 250-pounders. For not only does this fellow contain a good many bowls of soup for American dinner tables, his flesh is also a great delicacy and brings high prices in any market. Boy, Mike's really got an armful there. 250 pounds of fighting turtle. Watch how Mike holds him, how he keeps out of range of those powerful jaws. If he once relaxes his hold or gets in front of him, he's a goner. Hold him, Mike, he's raring. The turtle tries every trick he knows to throw that slim, lithe body from his back, but Mike's got a grip of steel, and he hangs onto that leatherback like a cowboy hangs onto a bucking bronco. Atta boy, Mike, bring him in. Howard's throwing him a rope, and can Mike use it? Remember this, fellows, the next time the little woman gets mad and goes home to mother and leaves you to struggle with the family can opener. Just stop feeling sorry for yourself and think of the trouble Mike's had getting his suit. There's certainly nothing wrong with this old Seminole method of bringing home the bacon. Up he goes, 250 pounds of helpless man-killer. But 2 man-killers in a day aren't enough. Not for Howard Hill. He's on the lookout for a third. And he doesn't have far to look. There's one swimming by now, just off our bow. A man-eating shark. No, that's not a gas mask Howard's trying on. It's an oxygen tank, such as you've never seen before, for it's Mr. Hill's own invention. With this handy little gadget, he's able to stay underwater for 30 minutes. Heretofore, an unheard-of feat unless he wore a regulation deep-sea diving suit. And this business-like head was another of his inventions, and designed for just such monsters as he's setting out to meet. And maybe you think this doesn't take nerve, for the shark has long been the terror of the Florida coast, sometimes swimming within a few feet of shore. And if he's hungry, human flesh makes a nice change from his usual fish diet. Looks like Howard's just asking to be cut up into hors d'oeuvres. Here, millions of fish live. The beautifully striped angelfish, the incongruous sheep's head, groupers and grunts, parrotfish and triggers, fish of every conceivable shape and color. And when it's Mr. Shark's dinner time, this is where he's most likely to be found. Mike and the boatman grab the glass-bottom bucket and rush to the side of the boat so they can watch. And we'll watch, too. This is the first time pictures have ever been taken underwater in these shark-infested reefs. Yep, here he comes. And is he surprised? He gets a load of Howard and swims back for a second look. It's a new experience for Mr. Shark. He's being stalked for a change, and he doesn't like it either. Say, listen, Howard, if you're not nervous, we are. Brother, you'd better draw that bow or it won't be long now. Wow, a bullseye the first time. And a good thing, too. But the shark can still swim, and if Howard has missed a vital spot... No, he's weakening. Howard didn't miss after all. Yes, he's a dead fish now. But now to get that monster up to the surface and in the boat. Believe me, that'll be a tough job. Hey, what is this? Superman stuff? No, underwater a fish weighs very little, and even a 300-pounder like this fellow can be carried easily with one hand. Not a bad haul for one day, is it? 3 of the deadliest inhabitants of the sea. The barracuda, the leatherback turtle, and the man-killing shark. But still, Howard is not content, and the next day he and Mike go on another hunt, this time for alligators, up the winding canals of the Everglades. And because this is Mike's home territory, he wears the ancient Seminole costume, which some of the more remote tribes, even today, have not discarded. And Mike's method of travel is as ancient as his costume. This is what's known as poling a boat. It's propelled through the water by a pole which reaches to the coral surface of the canal. The canoe itself is cut out of a single cypress log and draws only about 3 to 4 inches of water. A good poler can make about 7 or 8 miles an hour. A good thing Howard's not in a hurry. Upstream a few miles, Howard and Mike try their skill on the tiny, darting, incredibly swift garfish. Good shot, Howard. Believe me, only the most expert archer could have hit that small, fleeting target at one shot. For the garfish is a close relative of the flying fish and capable of almost lightning-like speed. Deeper into the Everglades, Mike poles their dugout canoe, where the alligators make their home. And as the boat drifts by, the huge reptiles wake, slip silently into the water and follow in the wake of the boat, a grim convoy. Hey, what are you doing, Howard? This is no time to stand, not in that shell. Watch out! Uh-oh, there it goes. Oh, man, what a place and what a time to upset a boat. You guys better swim for that shore and swim fast. Look out, Mike, that big fellow's right behind you. Look out! Look out! That canal isn't very wide, but to Howard and Mike right now, it looks as broad as the Pacific, and a lot more dangerous. Watch it, Mike. That alligator's creeping up. Only a length more to go, Mike. Keep swimming. Oh, that was close. Brother, string that bow and aim straight. A direct hit straight between the layers of hide. And maybe you think killing an alligator at one shot isn't something to brag about. For the alligator is about the toughest critter to kill you can find anywhere. Even gunshot rarely penetrates that thick hide. Look at him. That's a hunk of reptile. A good, husky 12-foot alligator has jaws like a steam shovel, and a pile-driver tail that packs the wallop of 6 mules, and a bellow that can be heard 5 miles. Not exactly the kind of guy a fellow alone and unarmed would enjoy meeting on a dark night. Oh, what big teeth you have, Grandma. And no wonder, for these fellows sometimes live to be over 1,000 years old. And in that time, they grow 22 different sets of teeth. But one alligator, more or less, doesn't frighten Howard and Mike. Trouble is what they're looking for. And in this part of the country, it's one thing they're sure to find. Uh-oh, Mike spotted another fellow. He calls to Howard to come and look. But this time, he says, this gator's on him. Alligator hunting, like turtle fishing, has always been the mainstay of the Seminole Indian. And as alligators are worth more alive than dead, the Seminoles have perfected a technique of capturing them that's well worth watching. And here's the gator. And he's got plenty to say on the subject. Mike, you'd better think twice before you tackle that one. By gosh, Mike's gonna wrestle him. And there he goes after him, Mother Hubbard and all. Maybe you think that doesn't take courage. To tackle a live and very mad alligator with your bare hands. It may be sport to Mike, but it looks like suicide to me. One blow of that lashing tail and there'll be one less Seminole in the Everglades. And if Mike should lose his grip on those powerful jaws, he'd be snapped in two like a matchstick. Boy, that alligator dives like a submarine. Hold on to him, Mike. Hold on to him. Now he's got Mike underwater. Don't let go now, Mike. If you lose this bout, there'll be no return match. Now he's up. Now he's down. Hold on to him, Mike. Hold on to him. That's the orneriest, meanest match partner a fellow ever had. Watch it, Mike. That's better. Ride him easy. He's tricky. Keep out of the way of that tail and hold on to those jaws. Look at that gator try to hold Mike under the water. Brother, what a fight. Attaboy, Mike, you're holding him. Attaboy! Let's have a look at this in slow motion. Now we can see what Mike's really up against. That gator knows it's life or death for him, and believe me, he's not giving up without a struggle. But then Mike isn't either. It takes incredible agility for Mike to stay out of the way of that lashing tail and to keep hold of the monster's jaws. Watch the way Mike breathes when he comes up for air. In those few seconds, he has to draw in enough of that precious ozone to last him underwater because the gator always tries to keep his assailant submerged. He can handle him better down under. That breathing stunt is quite a trick. An alligator's expansion muscles are very weak, but once his mouth is open, he can close it like a steel trap on whatever's within snapping distance. And right now, it's Mike. Watch how Mike evades that lashing tail. Brother, that's wrestling. 300 pounds of gator is a real opponent for anybody. And for a boy Mike's size, it's dynamite. Give him a hand, Howard. Attaboy, Mike, you've whipped him. 300 pounds of gator. Yes, sir, that old scissors grip does it every time. Help him up on land, Howard. That nightgown isn't any help when a fellow's got a live gator to hang on to. And there he is, boys. The winner, Mike Osceola. It's a very subdued gator Mike's handling now. You certainly did all right when you picked Mike for this trip, Howard. He's a pretty handy kid to have around. Anybody that can wrestle a turtle and an alligator deserves a place in any hunting expedition. Hey, what's this? What gives here? A lesson in hypnosis? By gosh, that's what it is. Look at him, the terror of the Everglades, sleeping like a baby. Just remember that, folks, the next time you meet an alligator. All you have to do is turn him over and rub his tummy, and you'll not need to worry about a thing. That is, until he wakes up again. When that baby wakes up, it's a good idea to have him well under control because he'll be plenty mad. And don't get any idea that just because Mike's licked him and there's no fight in him at the moment, he's not a mighty dangerous enemy. Look at those huge jaws. They've been known to bite a 2x4 in half. And given the opportunity, he can lop off your leg or arm as quick as you can say Schenectady. And he'll attack his victim regardless whether he's hungry or not. He'll turn back to see if you're good eating, only as an afterthought. Howard's going to tie him up, and not a bad idea either, for that way they can carry him. And this fellow's worth money. That is, if Mike and Howard can get him to market. Believe me, he's some load. It takes the two of them to carry this belligerent descendant of prehistoric reptile to their canoe. And so Howard and Mike, their dugout piled with alligator, start back home, out of the teeming, poisonous jungle that is the Everglades. For one day, they've turned back time and hunted as men hunted in the earliest dawn of human history.